We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels, better than Okada.
I'm not getting sushi after Monday Night Raw.
What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Wednesday, July the 23rd. It's a news day. I'm stoked. And I have a new Newsday crew. If you were expecting Archie and Ben, guess what? Not here. But who I do have here, I am stoked to introduce to you because we have a wicked lineup of topics, and I'm excited to get into them. Let me send this one across the pond first. Then we'll bring it back to the continental United States if we're doing geography. But at the same time, across the pond, we have one of the most talented people here at WR, reviewer extraordinaire, as well as arguably the best singing voice at all of the company. Mr. David Sheldon, how are you? Happy Wednesday, my friend.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Very, very excited to be here today to talk about some fascinating topics, and I can go nice scorched earth on one easy E. I'm very, very excited. Let's get straight into it.
Absolutely. I could not be more stoked too, but we also have to introduce back to the continental United States. Of course, this is going to be in the Virginia, D.C. area, of course. Resident Commanders fan, also owns a college and university, is in the building. Happy Wednesday. What's going on?
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Wrestling Republic's Daily Podcast. I'm here with Clark and with David, and this is going to be a great show today. So let's get this rolling, man. Let's not wait. Let's go.
Boom. Let's get right into it. 1,000%. Let's talk about our first topic here. And this one comes from an old friend of ours, Eric Bischoff. It's he didn't say it to us in particular, but he discussed it. He said that TNA could overtake AEW in a year if they get the right TV deal. I think this one's goofier than a football bat. I can't really fathom how that's a possibility. At this stage, if you just watched the most recent two pay-per-views, Slammiversary and All In, there was a big difference in not only eyeballs, but viewership. You can have your own personal taste in wrestling. I think TNA is an excellent product at times, overtaking AEW. This is a bit of a joke to me. David, I'm going to go to you when it comes to this, though.
I mean,
any chance?
Not currently. No, definitely not. No, let's bear in mind here. Let's start with who's actually making these remarks, and then we'll talk more about the actual content of the statement. So, the person who's currently making this remark is Eric Bischoff, the man who killed WCW and then nearly killed TNA. So, let's start there. I mean, I'm currently reading a fantastic book that I am going to plug for any wrestling fans who want to learn more. I'm currently reading The Death of WCW, which, just to confirm I've got the exact correct name, I do. It's Artie Reynolds and Brian Alvarez. It's an amazing book. And as part of that book, they really chronicle the positives of Bischoff and the negatives of Bischoff. And as towards the end, the negatives outweigh the positives, let me tell you. So, I think I always find it rich whenever Eric Bischoff starts talking about company politics as somebody that's nearly dropped two in the toilet. With that said, I think that TNA right now, there's a very different thing between what he did say and what he could have said. If Eric Bischoff had said that TNA getting that TV deal would really help them, I completely agree. That's the next step in TNA's development, is that TV deal, which I think they will get. With that said, because Eric Bischoff has got this bee in his bonnet about AEW, and always has, I think he's always got this thing in his head that AEW is going to die. I think there's a slight element of jealousy there because AEW now overtaken WCW in length of time on TBS and TNT. But in any case, it's got to be, well, they're going to overtake AEW. Look, Slammiversary, I think, was a disappointing show, but it had some excellent bits in it. Leon Slater at the top of the X division. You had a great tag team match. Shame about the fact that afterwards they're promoting Hardys and Dudleys. Trick Williams, very talented. JC Jane, very talented. Do I wish they were TNA stars? Yes, but they are very talented. So they will get their TV deal, and with WWE's backing, they will be a good player. But right now, I don't think they can get over the hurdle of being America's number 3. And I think with MLP's rise, Maple Leaf Pro, I think they could be pushing for 4th if they make a real play, Maple Leaf Pro from Canada over the next few months. I think at the minute they are number 3. But it's a silly statement because it's not fair on TNA's metrics. TNA's metrics is a TV deal to get to the next stage. And they're still 5, 6, 7 steps behind AEW. And I think they know that. And I think it's silly.
I'm 100% with you, and really so are the comments here as well. We've got, this whole sessions is in the comments with a lot of all caps, ha-has, as well as no. And then we've got Fernando Zayas as well, friend of the show, TNA taking over AEW is absolutely ridiculous. Couldn't agree more. And then he says, everyone knows Eric Bischoff is anti-AEW, just research his comments. I think this is really interesting when it comes to Eric Bischoff.
Biscoff.
This is, I almost said Biscoff. I don't know where I was going with that. That was a tongue twister to say the least. Too many B's. Either way, Eric Bischoff appeared in AEW in the early days on more than one occasion. He was a part of the debate, the Maxwell Jacob Friedman presidential run way back then. And I think he felt a little scorned that maybe Tony Khan didn't want quite as much advice as he was willing to provide. And that's just a working theory. But David, to your earlier points, I think that one makes a lot of sense. And before I go to Aunt you, what do you think about that real quick?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely an element of that. I think more than anything else, I think a lot of people have a tendency to just sort of turn against AEW when it thinks it'll bring them in viewers. Just look at Jim Cornette, who actually liked certain things that were happening in AEW until it became sort of cool for him to hate it, and then he started to hate everything they were doing. Look, I don't care what Eric Bischoff has to say. Again, I've watched him tank TNA, before, so I don't think we should be taking any advice on TNA booking from Eric Bischoff. He had his chance, and it nearly bankrupted the company.
Go well.
I do think, to be very clear, Eric Bischoff has done some amazing things for wrestling. I'm not going to sit here and say that he hasn't. That would be a lie. He was, as the book that I plugged earlier brings up brilliantly, he did some amazing things. He knew exactly what to do at the right time. But I think that these comments are born not out of a genuine desire to see TNA succeed, but out of a spiteful desire to see AEW fail. And there's a very big difference between the two.
Right.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. I will also say, though, here from Corey, he said, acknowledge Aunt you. Dude, you got to have a little faith in me as the host here. I'm going to Aunt you next. And I got to ask you about all this. I think we're kind of in agreement on the Bischoff side of it. At the end of the day, though, when it comes to the topic of is TNA in a position where they can overtake AEW, whether Bischoff thinks it or not, do you think it? That's the question I want to ask you.
So that's a subjective question. And I believe that, with the right set of circumstances, yes, TNA can overtake AEW, but it's not going to be within the next 5 years. There's going to be a lot of pieces are going to have to fall into place. Now, with the WWE backing them, is it possible? It's truly possible. AEW has a lot of ex-WWE stars in it, and I think TNA is going the right way by building a lot of its wrestlers homegrown, with the Mike Santanas and Joe Hendry coming up the way he did and stuff like that. So it's going to be refreshing and fun to watch. And if they do, like I said, if they get the right backing behind them and all the pieces fall into place, TNA has the ability to be a really good WWE development show. It's unfortunately what it is. I don't think it'll ever be a rival, but it'll be a great development show.
I've got one thing, because I agree with you, and we're going to get to the WWE tie. But did you say Mike Santana? Yes, I get he has history in TNA. That's an AEW guy. Come on, man. Proud and powerful. That's an AEW guy. We all know it.
What I will say is, just to slightly push back, I agree with you completely that TNA can do it, particularly with the WWE backing over a longer period of time. I would just like to push back on this idea that sort of about the homegrown thing. Yes, they are building homegrown stars. They're also having them lose. If you look at the TNA Slammiversary main card, just the main card is Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander. 2 WWE, ex-WWE guys. The ex-WWE guy, Mustafa Ali, wins. Then there's the 8-man tag match in which 3 of the guys that won there were Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, former Kurt Hawkins, and JDC, the former Fandango. Only Eddie Edwards there is homegrown. Then Indy Hartwell, who beats Tessa Blanchard, Indy's ex-WWE. JC Jane, who's current WWE, beats the TNA star Masha Slamovich. Leon Slater and Moose, the only match that kind of has sort of stars that are not growing outside of WWE. The Hardys win the tag title match, which also has Nick Nemeth in it and AJ Francis, but primarily the winner, the Hardys, to set up a former WWE feud in Hardys and Dudleys. And then Trick, current WWE guy, wins their TNA World title match. So if you go through the card, it's like they're building great homegrown stars and they're not putting them over. So, and to be clear, I don't think that I think Mustafa Ali should win. I think that Indy Hartwell should win. But David,
I thought the most fascinating thing coming out of Slammiversary this weekend was the way that the main event entrances went down. And you were watching with me, right?
Yeah.
Like,
talking about it then.
Okay, first off, Joe Hendry used to have the most viral and electric entrance in all of TNA, arguably all of wrestling. He came out first. Santana next. Santana got the biggest pop of the night.
Yes.
Forget Bubba Ray Dudley. Forget what happened with the Hardys. Forget what happened with the JC Jane match. There was a lot of really good wrestling. The biggest pop of the night was for Santana. And it was by miles. It wasn't close. It wasn't like a debate. It wasn't like, oh, maybe. Trick Williams got the best heel reaction of the night. And he had the Harlem Gospel Choir out there singing it. And it couldn't have been more beautiful. I thought it was amazing. But Joe Hendry, the homegrown talent, was overshadowed by the other two in the match in the main event.
Well,
and that's
what
where
bothers me.
I just find it funky.
Here's what bothers me with that, right? It's because anybody that's been watching Joe Hendry before, the Joe Hendry song took off, understands that the best part about Joe Hendry was he would change his ring entrance every big PLE. Like when he came out, it was centric on what was going on, who he was wrestling. And that's what made Joe Hendry so fun. And I think now they're just so stuck on this one song and they don't let him do anything else. And it's stale at this point. People remember who Joe Hendry was, and at Slammiversary, going against Mike Santana and Trick Williams was the perfect time to let Joe Hendry be Joe Hendry and just let him create a new song to come out, and it would have been great.
He was completely overshadowed.
Completely agree with you. I think the thing is that obviously I know it's more difficult in the UK against the US more in the US against the UK because UK have lax the licensing laws, so they can get away with doing the song parodies they can't do in America. But even so, like, come on, you could have done something. Like, he's the only one to not have a special entrance, and that made him feel less special than the other two in the match, which is a shame because Hendry's great. It's
so true. We've got DCX Warlord in the comments with Santana will be TNA World Champion this year. He's got to be.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be. I'm a huge Mike Santana fan.
He will. And my prediction, just like Joe Hendry, he'll be less over when he wins it than he was now.
That's what I'm a little bit afraid of.
The exact template with Hendry. He was so over, lost it. They tried to do I'm going to write an article on this. Not everybody is Cody Rhodes. We don't have to keep doing the Cody Rhodes adversity.
I think there's a slight difference when it comes to Santana with Hendry. I don't know if Santana's the best example, and this is why. I think Santana undercover, and we didn't really realize it, can go with anyone in the industry in a way that's been overlooked for so long. I think if anyone can sustain it in that spot, it's actually Santana.
I hope so.
I don't think we realized just how good Santana is, or maybe the charisma was missed. There's a little bit of a combination of like a Claudio Castagnoli and a little bit of Drew McIntyre in there as well. I think when it comes to Santana, I see a little bit of those two. And then I also see some sort of, I don't want to say Jeff Hardy, But when it comes to like a tag team breaking up, I think Ortiz had the big hair and the look and the facial expressions, and as Proud and Powerful, Ortiz took a lot of spotlight. We didn't actually realize how good of wrestling that Mike Santana was employing at that time, and we didn't tap into his charisma either.
Every time I watch Mike Santana,
we sort of started to when it was, sorry, not to cut you off there, Ant, but like sort of started to when it was, you know, the Stadium Stampede, and he did that promo about he got from his buddy Carlos Loquito from 125th. He got the truck full of shirts that were winners shirts when they had lost. Yeah. Like, I think that was kind of the start of the revolution there for Santana, because I truly believe he can be a main eventer in even bigger than TNA.
So
100%.
Every time I watch Mike Santana wrestle, like you said, I see that Drew McIntyre fireness mixed in with a little bit of Montez Ford aura.
Yeah. And
it's just, it's like, it's special. Like every time, like even him coming to the ring is just special. That entrance at Slammiversary was great.
I think there's a bit of Eddie Kingston in him.
He does.
Yeah.
It's a good mix. He's got the New York City vibe too. I love that. Okay, but honestly, we could talk about it the rest of the day. Let's move on to Drew McIntyre here, because speaking of slamming, this is figurative, not literal. He slammed a ton of professional wrestlers, the way they look, all of that. The question I have to ask you is, was this in kayfabe? Was this a work? Was this in character? Or was it not, David? Because I appreciated the humor. It made me laugh at the end of the day. If he's serious, though, it's wild.
Don't go on television or don't go on radio interviews and slam your colleagues, guys. No, I think in order for this to get onto television or get this onto radio or, you know, get this onto Impulsive or wherever it is, I think it's got to be in character. And the reason that I think backs that up is that in the same interview, he has a go at wrestlers who go on make big media appearances and do talk shows and everything. We're just coming off the back of the angle in which Jelly Roll and Randy Orton were on. Was it Kimmel or Fallon? I can't remember. I think it was Kimmel. It was Kimmel.
Kimmel. Yeah. Kimmel.
And Drew and Logan crashed the party. There's also, you know, an element of, considering that they're tag partners at SummerSlam, there's also an element of hypocrisy there, because Drew's saying he doesn't like people doing big media appearances while opposite Logan Paul. So, you know, I do think there is that element of sort of hypocrisy, intentional hypocrisy there. I think that the looks comment could be about Jelly Roll, who doesn't look like a wrestler, you know, or things like that. I think it's a very strange thing to say, and I'll be honest with you, it was one of those things that just came out of nowhere, really. I mean, that I will say, though, this is the same interview in which Drew McIntyre said that Travis Scott ruined the WrestleMania main event. So maybe it was a shoot. I don't know. But either way, it's an odd thing to say, but it only really works if you have a character that can back it up. And I suppose Drew backs that up.
That's true. Like, this seems almost more like Scottish Psychopath Drew.
Yeah.
Than we've seen a heelish Drew, right? Drew's character is fascinating. I think you brought up a really great point there, because we know he can back it up. And I feel like, at least me personally, I'm almost like still not over no fans for the Brock match at 30, like, right? Like, I'm still not over it. So I'm still not ready. Like, he's got to really bug me to root against him, because I still view Drew as this amazing rising babyface in some ways. And maybe I'm stuck there. Maybe that's just a personal thing, but I do really like the way that you broke that down, where it's like, no, it's not about necessarily what he said. It was how he said it. Right. It seems way more in character. Because I still do want to believe at the end of the day that Drew's good on the inside, right? That's the other part, right? Just emotionally as a fan, you're like, no, but it's Drew McIntyre, right? Like,
I think Drew is a fantastic troll. He's probably one of the best trolls in the industry, and he knows what he is doing. And I don't think Drew's the kind of person who's going to go off on a massive tangent and like be horrible for the sake of being horrible. There's no reports that ever back up that that's what he's like in real life. So I do think it's character.
It's got to be. I'm totally with you. But really quickly, let me talk about a few things here, my friends. Let's first talk about Etsy. Download the app. It's on the Google Play Store and the App Store. Head to the upcoming stream section. You can see me, Aunt You, Takes, Ben, Allison, We the Ones, all kinds of people over there. We're going to get this back up and rolling ASAP. And the best part is, as long as you got a phone and a camera, you can argue with us anytime you would like. But also, while I'm asking you to do me favors, do me one quick favor and subscribe to our other channel, Wrestling Republic Undercard. There's exclusive videos, clips, and many more. And when we say that, it's like we've got unbelievable shows over on this platform. We've got things like Grappling for Position. We've got Sold Separately. We've also got shorter form clips for y'all to run through. So if you miss shows like this, The Daily, and others, you can see the highlights, to say the least. Go subscribe to Undercard as well. If you enjoy our content here, I assure you, you'll enjoy it there. But let's move along to an interesting one here, my friends. Roman Reigns on a treadmill challenged Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, the Bronsons, to a tag team match. And he brought in main event, or he implied main event Jey Uso as his tag team partner. One more time. Yeet, yeet, yeet. Aunt You, this match has to happen. Also, is there anything funnier than like he took the time out of his cardio session to cut a promo because he's too busy to do it any other way? I love that.
So this is not the first time that we've seen Roman cut a promo like this. After he lost, tragically lost to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, he cut a promo like that and was just like, "This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. We'll be back." So when you get this promo from Roman, it means something, right? Like you said, taking time out of his workout to pick up his phone and to give us all, what we've been missing for so long. And this is great for Jey Uso. And I know this may ruffle a lot of people's feathers. Jey Uso was starting to get stagnant, stale, and boring. So having Roman come back, having Roman call him main event Jey Uso, having Roman do the yeet, having Roman pull him into a SummerSlam match, which automatically, just because Roman's in it, is going to make it the main event of either night 1 or night 2. This is what Jey Uso needs to get that push back up to being main event Jey Uso again. I'm excited for this, right? I think those two work so well together in the early points of the bloodline. And, this could be a resurgence of just everything, or it could be a bookend. It could be, the closing chapter. We don't know. But either way, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns make magic together when they're in the ring. From the Hell in a Cell match, the I Quit match, where, Jey became the right-hand man because Jimmy got too close and Roman put him in the guillotine. Just everything they do together is really good. So I think this SummerSlam match is going to be impressive, because you got the two Brawns, as they called them. Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
And both of those guys can go. So it's not going to be a cakewalk, to say the least.
Let's not talk about SummerSlam 2023.
I'm going to give this to you next, David. Trust me. But I, on this very program last week, discussed the pairing of Big Jim, Jay's twin brother, and Jacob Fatu, and how paired together, there is an opportunity here for Jimmy to tie Jay in tag team title reigns, because they're on the all-time list as far as tag team title reigns. I don't know about y'all, but I definitely think Roman Reigns and Jey Uso must beat the Bronsons,
Yes.
right? They have to, because that matchup maybe at Survivor Series, Big Jim and Fatu against Roman and Jay makes a lot of sense, because I can't figure out another way to keep Roman Reigns out of the world title picture any longer. If he's going to continue to wrestle, and we're going to keep him out of the Cena mud, we're going to keep him away from Cody Rhodes, and we're going to keep him away from Seth Rollins, because, well, Seth Rollins is keeping himself away because he's injured, unfortunately. Monster shout out. Speedy recovery wished. But how else do you get Roman Reigns on Survivor Series? And I don't hate that, but we're back to square one bloodline wise. David,
Well,
I can see the wheels spinning in your head like a mousetrap.
No,
I have to ask you what you think.
I haven't got much to say on the actual match itself. The only thing I'm going to say is I don't think this match main events either night of SummerSlam. I think that I have a feeling it will open night 2. What I reckon will happen is I reckon we'll open night 1 with Io, Rhea, and Naomi. That's what I reckon we'll open with. I reckon we'll main event night 1 probably with Punk and Gunther. Because I think there might be a big angle coming at the end of that match, and it's a possibility that Seth might not be as injured as we think he is. I don't know. Night 2, I think we'll open with this, and I think it could go either way, but there is a perfectly good Bronson Reed who can take a pin there. And then it'll main with Cody Cena too. So it might main event because it's Roman, and I don't think it'll go in the middle of the card, but I could see it opening night 2 instead of main eventing.
Absolutely. I think that's completely fair. We do have a comment over on Instagram I want to address really quick. We've got Miller G128 with what are your predictions for SummerSlam night 1 and night 2? So we'll be doing that a week from Friday. If you don't watch the program, if you're a first timer here, welcome to the show. But yeah, no, we've got the topics listed on the side today, so we don't do stuff like that. But David, yeah, this is a funky one, especially with. I mean, it's hard to call yourself the tribal chief without a group. Also,
right.
I'm starting to get a little bit sour on that.
Chief without a tribe.
Yeah, like what tribe is he the chief of at this point?
I agree with Fernando Zayas in that I think the match is going to be excellent. I mean, the thing is, it could either be that or it could be a house show match, which is also what could happen. It could be a glorified house show match.
No doubt.
So,
53 million.
Just mentioned it's been a tough year for Roman. No doubt.
But 53 million views in 24 hours for his return.
Yep.
Roman needle mover. Like it's hard. It's hard to argue that.
Well, isn't there a famous story on who was it that he told I'm a $1 billion check? I'm a walking $1 billion check. I think he told somebody that in the WWE offices. There's like a famous story. That was what he said when they brought him on. I mean, if you look at his athletic career, surviving, this man has leukemia to this day. He's still on oral chemotherapy. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. This guy's a dynamo when it comes to what he's been able to accomplish and overcome as an athlete in his career. Like, and the aura, the ultimate cliche, the ultimate Gen Z cliche, but nobody has more at this stage. And
there's aura farming.
Not only that, to go from the top of the mountain as the cool, quiet guy in the Shield to the guy that got pushed too hard. He became John Cena times 1 billion. Cody Rhodes times 1 billion. He got booed with The Rock raising his hand when he won. This guy overcame so many things, and then he delivered some of the best work ever. It's Roman Reigns is a hard person in professional wrestling to quantify.
Right.
Like, because he's a unique situation. He's a unique once in a lifetime thing. And those are all cliches. I hate doing that. I feel like I'm not even doing him justice, right? Like it's not right. But I do believe that I'm in agreement. The match will be awesome. But I'm kind of hoping for something more after. It is really a shame. And seriously, as much as we joke around on this show, Seth Rollins, get better quick, man, because that just is such a rug pulled out from under so many great stories that could have been told throughout the rest of the year.
But to feed off what David said, David, could you imagine the level we could take that match? As you said, if Seth Rollins isn't hurt, right? Seth Rollins isn't hurt. You have Punk and Gunther, and let's just say they kick off night one, and then Punk, and then Seth Rollins cashes in, and now you got Seth Rollins holding the title in the corner of the two Brawns, just antagonizing Roman the whole night. The build off that could be amazing.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't need this. The only reason I don't want it to be, I want it to be a working since I don't want Seth to be injured, but I also think it sets a really bad precedent where every single sort of staged injury, every single injury that comes on screen now is going to come with, well, is it a work? Are we being played? Which could set a bad precedent? But
that is a great call too, David, because the other factor is like what you don't want to do is take steam. I mean, one of the most impressive things, John Cena specifically, right? His return to the Rumble, it was supposed to be an 8-month recovery. He got it done in 5 and made it for that. That still should feel impressive. And you take the steam out of that, right? When you do too many, right? Minor injury, I don't mind. Major injury is a tough one, right?
If it's clearly a work, fine. Or but it's just doing the whole way that it was done and coming out, it makes me feel a bit icky. I'll be honest. Doing the whole fake finish with the LA Knight sort of thing, and something about it doesn't sit right. As good a moment as it'll be if Seth's revealed that he's been faking it, I'm not sure.
Well, I feel like all the works have been underwhelming. You had the whole R-Truth thing. R-Truth gets fired. The whole internet goes ablaze. He comes back. We lose it. He loses to Cena, and then we don't see him anymore.
Boom.
He pinned Malachi Black, don't you know?
Let's get into our main event of the afternoon, evening, morning, depends on where you are. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, fresh off of his role as Adam Sandler's son in Happy Gilmore 2. Says he could be Goldberg's retirement match. And he said it before. I gotta be honest, I freaking love it. It's so funny. Max is the bugs in the mummy that get under your skin. He's all of those bugs. He can just bother people, and the things he says are so great. Could Goldberg already unretire? Of course he could. Didn't you hear his interview too with Ariel Helwani? Yes, of course he could. When it comes to that, the three of us are going to discuss this, but man, I would die to see Max try to one up. Just do it. Book it just for the one-upsmanship, just for the conjecture online. I'm not trying to be the Joker from The Dark Knight, but why would we not? Goldberg, Friedman to end the year. And I'm going to you next. What do you think?
So, if you want to find a troll better than Drew McIntyre, you found it in MJF. The man truly takes pleasure in just grinding people's gears. And yeah, I love it. That's what makes MJF perfect. And if they can somehow talk Goldberg into coming back for one more match. I mean, if you thought AJ Boom was a big pop on AEW, just wait till Goldberg's music hits. Oh man, like I would internally laugh just off the simpleness of it, right? Just off of it being that ignorant. Because Goldberg would be the happiest person in the world. He wouldn't have to cry. It would be his middle finger to the WWE and how they disappointed him And man, people online would have a field day with it, but unfortunately, I would have to stick to my guns and just say I don't care. I don't care about Goldberg. I don't care if he gets another retirement match. I don't care if it's on AEW. I don't care if it's against Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I don't care. So
I think the funniest thing in the world that they could do is have Maxwell Jacob Friedman hit him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring as he's trying to spear him to win in Goldberg's new retirement match. And then they let him have a speech. And they do it like a long one. Like, no, the last segment is just all Goldberg talking. The child inside of me would be so tickled by that scenario. The idea that Max even suggested it made me giggle. I can't really get over it. I agree with, I don't think it's gonna happen, but now I'm just trying to speak it into existence. David, me and Ed have talked about it. Do you think we've got a shot at Max versus Goldberg, the real retirement match?
Well, no, I don't. But what I will say is that I do care more about Goldberg, actually, than people would think. Because I've hated most Goldberg matches over the last few years. But I do think Goldberg had a huge impact and was a huge star in the late 90s. And I do think that level of nostalgia and what he did, particularly for WCW, was that kind of shine light, does deserve some level of praise and recognition. And I do think he was done slightly dirty in the way he was handled by WWE. Barely promoted, kind of thrown on TV, that clearly didn't care about the build for the match. And then, the match was okay, was solid with Gunther. They did the best job they could. And then, the retirement speech got cut off. So while it was a little bit whiny, and I think some of the stuff Goldberg said was ridiculous, I get the gripe. So I wouldn't do it. I am going to quickly fantasy book what I would do for a Goldberg appearance in AEW. I wouldn't do the Max match. I think Max is too big. And I think Goldberg, if you're going to do a retirement match with Goldberg that's not like the Gunther one, I think it should be this. I don't think he should face MJF. I think they should advertise on a pay-per-view that there's going to be an open challenge from Ricochet. And I would have Ricochet or just promote you're going to do Goldberg Ricochet and have Ricochet be the most obnoxious little, I can't say it, for the month building up to the pay-per-view. Have him recreate the Jericho entrance where he gets lost on his way to the ring with the Gates of Agony as security guards. Do all of the ridiculous nonsense. You can do it with Max as well, but I think Ricochet is easier to beat. And then have Goldberg come out, eat Ricochet for lunch, because Ricochet can take that loss, and then do have everyone go, yay, Goldberg, and then we never see him again. That's what I would do if you had to do it.
I truly don't hate it at all. D6 Warlords saying Wardlow Goldberg, that'd be funny. Okay, so, if we're gonna fantasy book it really quick though, I've got the one that the first, way I would do it, because there's a moment in wrestling that I think would be maybe the greatest moment in wrestling history. There's the Goldberg can't wrestle stuff. There's all of this and that and the other. And if Max does a headlock takeover on Goldberg, he takes that bump. I know the crowd will go ballistic. Just a simple headlock takeover, and you got to make it about that in the promos. Like, I'm too excited to even talk about them. Like, they have to do this.
The thing is, if you're going to retire Goldberg again, all I want to, as a Goldberg fan, and I am a Goldberg fan from the late 90s, like from the stuff I've seen of him from back in the day, what I want to see, just for a retirement match, is him do his big spot. I want to see him come in. I want to see him throw somebody around, spear them, jackhammer them, Bob's your uncle's brother, and you're done. I don't like, and that's you want the nostalgia, yay, and that's all you want.
That's where I'm on the Max thing, because with the Hurt Business, he can do all that. He can spear Sheldon. He can jackhammer. Hopefully, I don't know. He couldn't really jackhammer.
But see, if I was fantasy booking, that's how I would do it. I would have it be Maxwell versus Goldberg and build up that match and everything. And then as soon as they get down to the ring, Maxwell jumps out of the ring and he's like, "You're not wrestling me. You're wrestling my Hurt Business partner,
Bobby Lashley."
You get Bobby Lashley in the ring.
I've seen them wrestle twice, and it was like
the only thing that but I got to give you credit there, David. we know that they can handle it.
Right.
That's the one positive, right? Like when it comes to if the priority now is Goldberg being honored,
Right.
Bobby at least we know can handle it because he basically did what probably should have been.
Yeah.
Like what they did was the best match he's had in recent years. There's no knock on Gunther.
No, I think, but like one of my favorite matches in recent years with Goldberg was the Dolph match, where he just ate it.
Oh yes,
and like relived that old nostalgia. So I'd want to see them do that again with somebody like Ricochet that is an obnoxious heel. Max Caster also works, but Ricochet's a bigger deal than Caster because Caster gets beaten up every week. So it's kind of that kind of yay Goldberg, and I never want to see him again.
It's a
you gotta have Ricochet pull the scissors out at one point. Whether he hits him with it or not, the scissors have to
just stabs him and he does nothing.
Well, by the way,
nothing at all.
Haircut wise, we know for a fact Ricochet hasn't used scissors in a long time, so he has to use them as a weapon. That's my favorite thing.
Right.
Either way, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. We really appreciate it. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. That's, of course, noon Pacific, 3 o'clock over on the East Coast, 8 o'clock in the UK, and 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, and you, David, Sheldon, everyone at WR, have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.